They did everything right, and somehow that made you want to disappear. Have you ever noticed that the people who text you the sweetest things, the ones who ask how your day was and actually wait for the answer, are sometimes the ones you find yourself pulling away from? Not because they did anything wrong, not because you stopped liking them, but because something in you quietly puts up a wall the moment they get close. Meanwhile, someone who barely checks in, someone who's inconsistent or a little emotionally unavailable, can hold your attention for weeks without even trying. If that sounds familiar, take a breath. You're not broken. You're not incapable of love, and you're definitely not alone in this. Let's talk about what's really happening underneath. Picture this. Someone new starts showing you consistent kindness. They remember small details about your life. They check in without being asked. They tell you they're proud of you, or that they missed you, or that you matter to them. And instead of feeling warm and safe, you feel a strange kind of pressure. Maybe you start replying slower. Maybe you become a little more distant, a little more guarded. Maybe you even start finding small flaws in them, things that never used to bother you. You're not trying to sabotage anything. It just happens, almost automatically, like a switch flipped somewhere inside you, before your conscious mind even caught up. This pattern matters because it quietly shapes so much of our relational life. It can push away the very people who are good for us while keeping us stuck, chasing people who keep us anxious and unsure. And if we don't understand why it happens, we start believing painful things about ourselves. Things like, maybe I'm just not capable of real intimacy. Or maybe I sabotage everything good in my life. But this isn't about being incapable. It's about protection. Let's understand where that protection comes from. At the center of this is something called emotional safety versus emotional familiarity. Here's the twist most people don't expect. Our nervous system doesn't automatically associate love with safety. It associates love with whatever we experienced love to feel like growing up. If your early relationships involved love that was inconsistent, conditional, or came with tension, your body may have learned that love equals unpredictability. Love equals walking on eggshells. Love equals waiting for the other shoe to drop. So when someone offers you calm, steady affection, it doesn't register as safe. It registers as unfamiliar. And unfamiliar to your nervous system can feel just as alarming as danger. This is closely tied to what psychologists call an avoidant attachment response. Not because you don't want closeness, but because closeness was, at some point, associated with a loss of control or a risk of getting hurt. When someone gets close, a part of you whispers, if I let this in and it disappears, it will destroy me. So instead of risking that pain, you create distance first. You go cold. You protect yourself from a wound that hasn't even happened yet. Real quick, before we go on, if that explanation just made something click for you, that's exactly what this channel is for. Hit subscribe if you want more of these. Now, let's see what this actually looks like in real life. Think about the person who dated someone incredible, loving, dependable, emotionally present, and instead of feeling happy, felt suffocated. So they created arguments out of nothing, needed more space, or slowly stopped replying. Or think about the friend who has a parent that constantly checks in, but instead of feeling comforted, feels an urge to hide things from them, to seem fine, even when they're not. Or maybe it's you,
Noticing that you feel more comfortable with people who need convincing to love you than people who love you without hesitation. In every case, the pattern is the same. Consistency feels foreign, and foreign feels threatening, even when it's actually good for us. Here's the part that often gets missed. Going cold isn't really about the other person. It's about an old, unhealed fear resurfacing.
Somewhere inside, there's a younger version of you that learned love could be taken away. Maybe a parent who was warm one day and distant the next. Maybe a friendship that ended without explanation. Maybe a relationship where affection had to be earned through performance, not simply received. That younger part of you built a rule to survive. Don't get too comfortable. Don't need anyone too much. If you stay guarded, you can't be blindsided. So when someone offers real, steady care now, that old rule activates, not because the present relationship is dangerous, but because the emotion feels dangerously similar to something that once hurt you. Going cold, then, isn't rejection of love. It's a nervous system trying to keep you safe, using outdated information. Most people think emotional distance means someone doesn't care enough, but often it's the opposite. The people who go quiet, who create distance, who seem to test the relationship without realizing it, are often the ones who care so much that the fear of losing it becomes unbearable. We assume withdrawing is about disinterest, but sometimes withdrawing is about self-protection, disguised as disinterest. And here's the deeper misunderstanding. We think we have to wait until we feel ready for closeness. But readiness isn't a feeling that arrives on its own. It's built slowly through small moments of choosing to stay present instead of retreating. You don't have to eliminate the fear before you let someone in. You just have to notice it without obeying it automatically. The next time you feel that pull to withdraw from someone who treats you well, pause and ask yourself gently, is this person actually unsafe, or does this just feel unfamiliar? That single question can interrupt years of automatic reaction, not because it erases the fear instantly, but because it creates a small gap between the emotion and the response. And in that gap, you get to choose differently than you used to. You can text back. You can say, I appreciate you, instead of creating distance. You can let the good things stay a little longer before your instincts tell you to run. Maybe you're not cold-hearted. Maybe you're not someone who can't do relationships. Maybe you're simply someone who learned a long time ago that love could disappear. So you learned to disappear first. But the people who show up consistently now are not the people who hurt you then. They're offering you a different kind of love, one your old patterns were never built to recognize. Healing isn't about forcing yourself to feel comfortable overnight. It's about slowly teaching your nervous system a new truth, that steady love is not a trap, that being cared for doesn't always come with a hidden cost. So if you've ever gone quiet on someone who was good to you, if you've ever pulled away from kindness without knowing why, it doesn't mean you're incapable of love. It might just mean you're finally being offered the kind of love you never learned how to trust. And maybe, little by little, you can learn to let it stay. If today brought you clarity, our conversation isn't over yet. Click the video on your screen right now and let's keep healing together.